So this is a follow-up on the debate with Tulsi Gabbard and this back and forth that she had with Pete Buttigieg, Mayo Pete, as some people like to say. So let's get into it. We have a little clip, actually, partway through the story that I think you guys will appreciate.
Enjoy.
Hawaii Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard attacked Pete Buttigieg at the Democratic debate on Wednesday over recent comments the South Bend, Indiana mayor made in California about his openness to send U.S. troops to Mexico to fight cartels. Quote, I think the most recent example of your inexperience in national security, and this is Tulsi Gabbard speaking, and foreign policy came from your recent careless statement on how you as president would be willing to send our troops to Mexico to fight the cartels. Buttigieg replied, I know that's par from the course in Washington to take remarks out of context, but that is outlandish, even by the standards of today's politics. Are you saying that you didn't say that? Gabbard replied. Buttigieg then explained he was talking about U.S.-Mexico cooperation, adding that the country has been doing security cooperation with Mexico for years. Visibly frustrated, he added, do you seriously think anyone on stage is proposing invading Mexico? He then chastised Gabbard for meeting with President Bashar al-Assad, as one does with Tulsi when they don't have a good comment to make. Now, rather than kind of go into this article a little bit further, we actually have a video clip for you. Paul, you want to roll it?
I think the most recent example of your inexperience in national security and foreign policy came from your recent careless statement about how you as president would be willing to send our troops to Mexico to fight the cartels. As commander-in-chief, leader of our armed forces, I bring extensive experience serving for 7 years in Congress, on the Foreign Affairs Committee, on the Armed Services Committee, on the Homeland Security Committee, meeting with leaders of countries around the world, working with military commanders of different commands, dealing with high-level national security briefings, understanding what's necessary, the preparation that I've gotten to walk in on day one to serve as Commander-in-Chief.
I know that it's par for the course in Washington to take remarks out of context, but that is outlandish even by the standards of today's politics.
Are you saying that you didn't say that?
I was talking about U.S.-Mexico cooperation. We've been doing security cooperation with Mexico for years, with law enforcement cooperation and a military relationship that could continue to be developed with training relationships, for example. Do you seriously think anybody on this stage is proposing invading Mexico?
That's not what I said.
I'm talking about building up.
About how you as president would be willing to send our troops to Mexico to fight the cartels.
I'm talking about building up alliances. And if your question is about experience, let's also talk about judgment. One of the foreign leaders you mentioned meeting was Bashar al-Assad.
Yeah, so there you have it. She said that a fact check should be done, and fact checkers are few and far between when it comes to defending Tulsi Gabbard. So here we are. We got the clip. You saw we did the clip. We put what she said originally. He accused her of saying that he was going to invade Mexico. That was a lie. Pete made that entire thing up. She said that, hey, you want to put U.S. troops in Mexico? And he said, yeah, I want to work with Mexico to put U.S. troops in Mexico. Just like today, we have a cooperation with the Afghanistan government to put troops in Afghanistan. That's also cooperative just as well. It is still Americans on the ground dying because we won't decriminalize drugs.
Okay.
And I actually don't know specifically what Pete Buttigieg's stance is on decriminalization. Someone could probably let me know in the chat. But I have a feeling he would probably propagate the war on drugs, which would necessitate, from his point of view, sending troops into Mexico. So we've done our fact check. He's wrong on this. Tulsi said everything in line, and somehow, this is not even like, this is like, it's something he literally admits to, but he gets defensive about that he's saying as he explains that he says it. So Tulsi Gabbard says something reasonable. He responds with anger and lies. Guys.
Okay, so again, I think enough people have kind of tore apart the body language of Pete Buttigieg in regards to being challenged by Tulsi Gabbard, but it shows his state of mind and his mentality. And look, there's a lot of criticism towards Pete Buttigieg. Look, he has a hard time, especially gaining support from the African-American population, especially not only in his own hometown of South Bend, but also probably everywhere else in the country. He lied about his Frederick Douglass bill. Half that bill, majority of those people are not even Frederick Douglass bill.
No, Frederick.
No?
It's implied, but it's not there.
Douglass bill. All right. Sorry, I assumed that was a full name. But also, it's important to look that in that bill, he lied about who was endorsing him. He said 400 prominent leaders in South Carolina's African-American community were endorsing his bill. Half those supporters were apparently, or quote-unquote supporters, were white. He fired South Bend's African-American police chief.
Well, it's not just that he fired him. It's that he fired him because
he was pressured.
He was pressured by his donors. Of some other racist cops. The sheriff wanted to fire.
Yeah, and also then too, let's look at everyone who's backing him up. He has a lot of PACs backing him up too. He is a neoliberal centrist corporate candidate. And so when he gets called out, he stumbles and falls, he fails. He is somebody who just doesn't have what it takes. And the more I hear about corporate media saying that, he's a strong front runner, in what world are they living in, Eric?
I don't know. I have a new name for him. I call him Tea Party Pete.
Oh.
Because,
Well, tell us why. Why would you think of that name?
He made a little pit stop a few years ago and gave a speech at the Tea Party, at this Tea Party gathering that back in 2010.
Surely this was not under when Obama was president, and surely he didn't say that the Tea Party was doing a rather good job. Did he do that?
But it was, Dan.
Oh, no.
Okay,
so you can tell I am shocked. So shocked, everyone.
So here's my problem with
Party
this,
Pete.
Right? So I understand.
Make it go viral, Tea Party Pete.
So here's the thing. Look, I understand that politicians meet with a lot of people, a lot of groups, a lot of constituents, a lot of voters, right? I know, but hold on. Hear me out. But for some reason, corporate media was saying that it was okay for him to meet with the Tea Party during that time frame. But when Senator Bernie Sanders went on Fox News, when Senator Bernie Sanders talks to Republicans and conservatives, it's a cardinal sin. When Tulsi Gabbard goes on Fox News or any other conservative outlet, or even talk to potential libertarian, conservative, Republican voters, that's a bad thing to do. But for some reason, Pete Buttigieg, no matter what he does, is okay. And I saw just how hard MSNBC and their pundits were trying to defend Pete Buttigieg during that horrible debate handling that he went back and forth with Tulsi Gabbard.
Not only that, but they misquoted again.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
When she actually, they attributed her quote to Pete. I think it was on NBC.
And also we got a super chat from Unknown Space Pioneer. Thank you for the $2 super chat.
I want to just very quickly read just picking at random, a comment from the comment section. And it just happens to be from Fuck Google. I have a feeling Pete is going to get caught banging women. I just read that one at random. That wasn't even my choice. But we also have another super chat that I think we missed earlier.
Yeah, it has to deal with, please look at the changes coming with 5G. Okay, thank you, Tina Krautz. We will look into that.
I mean, there's legit criticism of Tulsi Gabbard, but no one, not on the media, no one on the stage is able to do it because they agree with those.
They just go with,
they agree with those criticisms.
Right. I say, look, when it comes down to being critical of candidates, you have to be critical of them, but come at them with stuff to really challenge them.
That's
on policies,
legitimate,
like real truth. See, the problem with Pete Buttigieg and everyone else who's a neoliberal establishment, especially the moderators too, is that they have this narrative that, oh, well, you have to be pragmatic, you have to be centrist, you have to fall in line with what the DNC establishment wants. Voters don't want that. Also, again, it leads to another point. Tulsi Gabbard, the only horrible thing that she did, really, was stand up against the DNC, especially in 2016.
It's a Julian Assange type of crime.
Yeah, and this is what happens. But see, once again, Tulsi Gabbard, her campaign is still gaining momentum, whereas I fear Pete Buttigieg, where I think Pete Buttigieg, his campaign will slowly spiral out of control.